The following scenario will be static. The only radio traffic throughout the entire event will be your initial on-scene radio report. There will be no follow-up radio traffic from fire dispatch or from any company that you may assign. You are expected to give an initial radio report and to assign all of the companies on your first alarm. You are dispatched with 3 engines and a ladder truck. If you upgrade to a working fire assignment, you will receive an additional engine company and ladder truck. If you request a second alarm, you will receive the working fire assignment and an additional 2 engines and a second battalion chief, for a total of 6 engines, 2 ladder trucks, and 2 battalion chiefs. You will also receive a Code 2 EMT private ambulance. Subsequent alarms will bring you an additional 3 engines, 1 ladder truck, and an additional battalion chief. For the purposes of this simulation, you will only be allowed to place your first alarm assignment, and if you upgrade to a working structure fire assignment or call for a second alarm, you may assign those companies not to exceed a second alarm. You are assigned as Battalion 31. You will not be first on scene. You will have a total of 4 minutes to give your initial on-scene report and to make all of your assignments. At the end of the allotted time frame, you will be asked a series of questions. Some of the questions may be to clarify your actions, while others will be asked to all candidates.
Structure fire assignment for Engine 31, Engine 22, Engine 35, Truck 32, and Battalion 31. 729 Hanson Place, Unit 201, Crossa Hyde Road, District 325. Engine 31, Engine 22, Engine 35, Truck 32, and Battalion 31. Structure response, 729 Hanson Place, Unit 201, 1421 hours. While en route, you hear the following radio traffic.
Fire dispatch and all incoming units. Engine 31 is on scene with 3 at 729 Hanson Place. I have a working fire on the 2nd floor of a 3-story center hallway apartment building. Engine 22, take command and bring us water. Truck, go to the roof.
Engine 22 copies. We will bring you water.
After hearing Engine 31's initial report, I would call him on the radio while still driving in and prompt him to request additional resources, in this case a second alarm, and to designate a staging area.
Candidate, you're now on scene.
I would approach the scene to obtain views of as many sides of the building as possible. I would give my initial report. It would sound like this. Fire dispatch, Battalion 31 is on scene at 729 Hanson Place. I have a working fire on the 2nd floor of a medium-sized 3-story center hallway apartment building. The fire is on the Alpha Delta corner. I also have a moderate amount of smoke showing from the fire escapes on the 2nd and 3rd floor. I will be Hanson IC. My command post will be located at my vehicle on the tactical Alpha side. This will be an offensive attack. I have overhead power lines on the Delta side of the building, and I expect a rescue problem. I will be completing my 360. Before I complete my 360, I would call Engine 31 and obtain their status. I would have them hold in the stairway below the fire floor and not make entry until 2 out is established. I would make Engine 31 Division 2 with the objectives to complete a primary search and knock down the fire on the 2nd floor. I would have him assign his driver to be the first half of 2 out. I will address his initial actions after the incident. I would order Engine 22 to lay a supply line to Engine 31, pull a backup line, and report to Division 2. I would direct him to have his driver make up the second half of 2 out with Engine 31's driver and secure the utilities. I would call Division 2 and advise him that he was clear to make entry on the fire floor and that he was receiving Engine 22 for accountability of 4. I would complete my 360. I would be looking for any victims outside of the structure or requiring immediate rescue on fire escapes or at windows on upper floors, identifying any safety hazards, and attempting to determine the extent and size of the fire. I would advise incoming units of the findings from my 360 and announce to all incoming units that our incident objectives are to conduct a primary search and keep the fire contained to the apartment of origin on the 2nd floor. I would request a 3rd alarm and direct fire dispatch to begin station coverage. I would direct Truck 32 to position on the Alpha Bravo corner, utilize their aerial, go to the roof, and become roof division. Their objectives are to open the penthouse door, check the landing for victims, remove skylights, and prepare for vertical ventilation over the center hallway. I would order them to provide an update as soon as the penthouse door and skylights have been opened. I remind them of the power lines on the Delta side. I would direct Engine 35 to establish the second water supply, pull a line, and go to the third floor. They would become Division 3 with the objectives of performing a primary search and checking for extension. I would assign the next arriving engine to establish RIC. Their objectives are to complete a 360, soften the structure, formulate a RIC plan, and secure the utilities. I would direct them to utilize ground ladders from the truck and place ladders to second and third floor balconies. I would cancel the 2 out, have the driver from Engine 22 report to RIC, and close the loop with RIC, advising them their accountability is 4. I would have the next engine pull a backup line and report to Division 3. I would close the loop with Division 3 and update their accountability to a crew strength of 5. I would also obtain a status report from Division 3. I would have the third engine on the second alarm pull an additional line and report to Division 2. I would close the loop with Division 2, obtain a status report, and update their accountability to 7. I would have the second truck position on the Bravo Charlie corner, raise their aerial, and report to the Roof Division. I would close the loop with Roof Division, update their accountability to 6, and obtain a progress report. The 2nd Battalion Chief would assume Division 2. I would repeat the objectives to complete a primary search and knock down the fire. I would identify the units working in Division 2 and advise him that his accountability will be 8. I would advise Engine 31's officer that I had signed the Battalion Chief to assume Division 2 and to report when the transfer had occurred. I would have Ambulance 1 staged in a safe location with access to the scene. Once I receive updates from all of my divisions and groups, I will reevaluate the situation and place third alarm units where needed. I'm ready for any questions.
Assume that your third alarm units are all at scene. The units operating on the third floor report that they have located a victim on the third floor fire escape on the Alpha side. The victim has moderate burns, but is ambulatory. They cannot bring him down the interior stairs.
I would acknowledge the report and advise Division 3 that I will have a truck remove the victim via ladder. I would have the truck from the third alarm report to the scene. I would make them the rescue group and direct them to remove the victim from the third floor balcony on the Alpha side and move him to the medical group. Ideally, they would utilize their aerial to perform the removal. If there weren't sufficient access for their apparatus, they can utilize ground ladders, or working in conjunction with the Roof Division, utilize the aerial from Truck 32. Utilizing Truck 32's aerial will be the last option, since crews are still operating on the roof. However, if the rescue requires Truck 32's aerial, the Roof Division can still safely operate since the second truck in the Roof Division has their aerial up at the Bravo Charlie corner. I would have an engine from staging establish a medical group on the Alpha side, and I would assign Ambulance 1 to report to the medical group. I would assign another engine to Division 3 since their search and extinguishment efforts will be delayed during the victim removal. I would close the loop with Division 3, advising they were getting an additional engine, and update their accountability total to 8. I would call for a 4th alarm and request an additional Code 3 ambulance.
The victim has been removed from the third floor. Division 3 is reporting that they have some fire extension to the third floor and heavy smoke in the hallway.
I would acknowledge the report. I would contact Roof Division and determine the status of opening the penthouse doors and skylights. I would advise them of Division 3's report, direct them to expedite ventilation, and to cut over the center hallway, coordinating with Division 3. I would close the loop with Division 3 and advise them of the progress of the Roof Division. Since smoke conditions are worsening on the third floor, I would check the progress of Division 2. I would assign Division 2 the last engine from the third alarm. This engine would bring an additional hose line. I would update their accountability total to 11. I would assign the 3rd Battalion Chief to assume Division 3. I would identify the objectives to complete a primary search and knock down the fire. I would identify the units working in Division 3 and advise him that his accountability will be 9. I would advise Engine 35's officer that I had assigned the Battalion Chief to assume Division 3 and to report when the transfer had occurred.
As additional resources arrive, what other orders or assignments do you anticipate making?
I still need to get a unit to the first floor to evacuate occupants and to evaluate for salvage needs. In addition, I have multiple companies operating on 2 floors, so I need to augment Rick with an additional company. If we do not get knocked down shortly, I will need to start rotating crews out of Division 2 and 3 for bottle changes and rehab. If this occurs, then I will reevaluate our operations and determine if an offensive strategy is still appropriate and safe for personnel. We still need to determine the number and types of displaced victims and request the Red Cross to manage long-term sheltering. I anticipate that a higher-ranking chief officer should be arriving shortly and will take command of the incident. I am prepared to provide a turnover report and assume operations or become the incident safety officer.